Well, hi everybody, it's Liz Protherough here, and welcome to this online training session, the 3 pillars to ensure that your teenager thrives. I've got a lot in store for you tonight, and I can't wait to share it. But let's just hang on just for a few minutes longer, because I know there's a lot more people wanting to join the call, and then I'll make a start. Because, it's always a challenge for me getting onto a call like this for 8 o'clock, getting the kids out the way or to bed and settled. So I do understand the challenges for everybody. So, welcome to those who are nice and early. I know we've got lots of ladies on the call tonight. Hi, Carolyn. Hi, Jane. Hi, Julie. Hi, Raksha. Hi, Teresa. Welcome. Well, just in case you're not familiar with how these online classes work, there's a section where you can chat to me, pop your questions in on the right-hand side of the screen. If you just take a moment to look at these, if you're not familiar with them, and sorry if I sound a bit like a flight attendant, but the question box on your right-hand side, can you just do me a quick favour? Can you write hi in the question box if you can hear me okay? It's always useful to know that people can hear what I'm saying. Hi, Teresa. Hi, Carolyn. Hopefully everyone else can hear me. Do feel free to comment in that question box and interact with me and ask questions at any stage. I will see all of those. But please do bear with me for answers, because I will address all of your questions at the end of the session. I've also had lots of questions from you before tonight, and I'll answer those either as we go through as part of the presentation, or again, I'll answer them at the end. Okay, nice to see people are using the question box. Again, if you can hear me okay, just pop hi in the question box and I'll know that, that this broadcast is getting through to you. Okay, so, well, this is the online class, the 3 pillars to ensure that your teenager thrives. So we're a few minutes into the session, so let's make a start, shall we? So if you don't know me already, I'm Liz Protherough. I'm the founder of the University Success Campus with its unique 3-pillar programme for teenagers. I'm also the author of the book on successful teens. So if you're a parent or a teacher of teenagers, then you're in the right place this evening. This is the class for you. So, what is the problem for our teenagers? Well, there is a problem, and this online class is really important for you because it will raise your awareness about what you can do to massively improve your teenagers' prospects. Because the world where we live, there's massive youth unemployment, and huge numbers of graduates are having their hopes completely dashed of finding any interesting or challenging work. Recently, Professor David Blanchflower, who used to work for the Bank of England's Monetary Policy Committee, has warned the UK government that the most pressing problem facing our country right now is youth unemployment, or to be more precise, rising youth unemployment. Studies have shown that a prolonged spell of unemployment for those just entering the labour market leaves permanent scars, and it makes them much less employable throughout their working lives. Maybe you know somebody who's fallen into that trap. The latest official unemployment figures showed that 1 in 6 18 to 24-year-olds in the UK are now looking for work. That's nearly 17%. And in fact, that's quite an underestimate, because that only includes those who are actually claiming benefits. So all those kids who are still living with their parents and not claiming are not included in that figure. And so the reason why I'm doing this class this evening is because I've come to realise that literally hundreds of thousands of parents, in fact probably the overwhelming majority, are at a complete loss of what to do to help their teenagers. Since I first mentioned to people that I was launching the University Success Campus, which takes teenagers through a whole program of self-development to enable them to become more entrepreneurial, I've been overwhelmed with praise and comments such as, "This is so urgently needed." So are you worried that there might be no job for your teens when they leave full-time education? And are you worried about the debt that they'll have at the end of their university course? Well, you should be. And judging by some of the questions that you've asked when you registered, you are too. And you're probably here because you want to know how to help your teenager, how to help them become the best that they can be. You want to help them become more successful in life as well as in their career. And I want that for my 3 boys too. Over the past few years, I've seen countless young people with really good qualifications just completely thrown onto the job scrap heap. And it really breaks my heart. Because they're promised so much, aren't they? They're built up to believe that if they study hard, pass all their exams, and get a good degree, that there'll be a wonderful, interesting, challenging job for them. But the world today is not like that. And that's why I wrote the book on successful teens, to introduce parents like you to the economic reality of what faces your children and mine. So, let's have a look at some facts. Some key facts. 1, there is massive youth unemployment. And 2, university education is expensive. Let's deal with the unemployment first. And we've got people on this call from all over Europe, actually. In fact, there's even someone on the call from the States. But we've certainly got someone on the call from Italy. So let's have a look at the unemployment rate in Italy. Now, this slide may look a little bit complicated, and the coloured section on there is looking at what's happened since Italy joined the Eurozone, but that's not particularly relevant for what we're looking at here. The key thing is the rising unemployment rate for youth, for the under 25s in Italy. It's now at 37.1%. So Michelle, this one's for you. I know you've got 2 teenage boys living in Italy. Unemployment rate of 37.1%. That's frightening, isn't it? Let's have a look at something else, another country in the Eurozone, Spain. Spain has got the 2nd highest unemployment rate for youth in the whole of the Eurozone, 55.6%. That's 55.6%. Over half of young people under 25 are without work. A little bit closer to home to us in the UK, in Ireland, 30.02% of young people are unemployed. And even in Germany, where everything's supposed to be okay, it's got the lowest unemployment rate in Europe. Even in Germany, 8% of the under 25s are out of work. That's a frightening prospect for all of Europe. Really is. It's totally scary if you're a parent. Now, if we look at a graph which shows us the unemployment in what it calls advanced countries. So here we've got the US and Japan as well as European countries. What this slide is showing us is general unemployment rate on the vertical axis. So that's the whole population in terms of unemployment rate. But the horizontal axis is showing us what proportion of young people, so under 25s, are out of work. And if you look at Spain and Greece, you can see that almost 60%, we said already in Spain it's 56, Nearly 56% of young people are out of work. Greece has the highest unemployment rate, both as a general population and of youth in the whole of the Eurozone. But nearly 60% of young people are out of work. That's a frightening prospect. And, if you're a parent, where does that put you? When, the worry that you have about your children's future. And even if we move left along the graph and look at the UK, we can see around about 20% of young people are unemployed. Compare that to about 8% unemployment rate in the general population. We're right to be concerned. And the other item that one of the facts that I dealt with earlier is that university education is so expensive. Now, I assume that you expect your children to go to university, because isn't that what they believe they should do? So let's just have a look at what university costs in the UK and have a think about why we're encouraged to send our children to university. Because in the UK, to encourage as many teenagers as possible to go to university, the UK government tells us that on average, graduates earn approximately £120,000 more over their lifetimes than non-graduates. So that's a sort of premium, if you like, for being a graduate, an extra £120,000 over a working lifetime. Now, on the face of it, that sounds appealing, doesn't it? But you really need to understand the figures, because when you scratch the surface, you realise that this is a bit of a smokescreen. Because here's the alarming truth. And if you're an accountant, I know, Michelle, you're an accountant, please forgive me, because this will be very simple. And I'm putting it in simple terms and hopefully non-boring terms so that people will understand. But let's have a look at and really scratch the surface of some of these figures. So, in the UK, the figures for the cost of university education over a 3-year course are £60,000 in total. That covers fees and living expenses for a 3-year university course. So if you like, that's £20,000 each year for you to find, or for your children to borrow so that they can do their university course. Now, that's super scary, isn't it? £60,000. That's, it's almost like a mortgage on a tiny house, but with no asset to show for it. But, if graduates earn an extra 120,000 over the course of their working life, well, doesn't that cover it? Doesn't that cover the 60 grand? Well, no, actually, because keep listening. Because let's assume that your teenager might have got a job instead of going to university. And let's assume that the sort of job that they could have taken would have given them about 15,000 per annum in salary. Okay, so I think that's a fair assumption. So that's £35,000 of salary over the 3 years if they hadn't gone to university. So in terms of our calculation as to whether it's worth it or not to go to university, that's £35,000 equivalent of money paid out. It's called an opportunity cost in accountants speak. Now, as we said earlier, the UK government figure for the additional salary that people earn over a working lifetime if they've got a degree is £120,000. Now, let's assume that £120,000 extra salary or graduate premium is spread equally over all of the years of their working life after they graduate. Again, I think that's a fair assumption. So, given that the UK government tells us we're going to have to work until 70, that's from the age of 21 when they graduate, that's 49 years of working life. A bit scary, isn't it? 49 years of working life over which we're going to spread that £120,000. Okay? Now, the reality is that it'll probably take a few years to catch up in terms of salary after you've gone through a degree. And so the extra salary might be biased slightly more towards the end of the working life. But just stay with me. Stay with me. Sorry if this is a bit confusing at this stage. But, if you've never thought about it, money now or in the near future is worth much more than money in the distant future, isn't it? Which would you rather have? Think about it. Would you rather have £50,000 now or £50,000 in 20 years' time? You'd want it now, right? But why? Well, firstly, there's risk or the uncertainty factor. You don't know what's going to happen over the next 20 years, so better to have the money now, yeah? Also, if you have it now, you can invest it and earn a return over a period of years. Even at today's paltry interest rates, you'd earn something. So to put it really, really simply, money now is worth more than money in the future. So can you start to see that the more of the additional salary that our graduate earns later in their career, the less valuable it is in relation to the initial outlay of the university fees, that 60 grand that you're going to be paying for 3 years. Have I lost you yet? I'm really sorry, I'm an accountant. I did tell you that, didn't I? You see, accountants have got a calculation technique that they use to determine what money coming in or going out in the future is worth in today's terms. And that's called the net present value. It's a technique or a calculation that will determine whether or not something is a good investment. So if we were to calculate the net present value of the university investment, and I've got a fantastic little Excel spreadsheet program that does this for me. I know I'm an accountant, but it's easier if I just stick it all into a spreadsheet. And it works out the figures for me. And, you're very welcome to have this if you like. Just let me know. Drop me an email and I'll let you have this program. But remember, because the NPV, or the net present value of this return on the investment measured in today's values, will tell us whether or not it's worth making the investment. In this case, our investment in university. So remember, we had £60,000 worth of university fees that outlay over the first 3 years. And then we had to factor in the salary that our student or our teenager could have earned if they'd not gone to university. That was the £15,000 a year. And then we bring in to our spreadsheet the additional graduate premium of £120,000, and we spread that over the following 49 years, right up to the age 70, when the government tells us we can retire. Then we have to sort of put in a magic formula. We're going to add in an interest rate of 5%, and what we get is a huge, massive, fat loss on our investment of well in excess of £56,000. So the net present value of paying for university education commencing in September 2013 and then earning an additional graduate salary of £120,000 over the whole working lifetime, the extra 49 years up to age 70, is a massive money outflow of £56,076. That's massive. Now, I call that pitiful. I call that putting a millstone round your children's necks. I call that getting them up to their necks in unmanageable debt with no guarantee of a way to pay it off. And then if you were to make the assumption, as I talked about earlier, that they wouldn't even start to earn more than their sort of fellow non-graduates for a little while after they graduated, maybe even until, say, age 30, that they sort of catch up in salary. If you factored that into the equation and pop that into our Excel spreadsheet, our loss shoots up to £65,000. Isn't that sobering? And that is never talked about. The government does not let you know about the time value of money when they're telling you that you should send your children to university. Very sobering. Now, I did pretty well out of the university education system myself, and maybe you did too. But then again, I went to university in 1982, in the days before parents had to pay university fees. And indeed, in those days, people don't believe it now, but in those days, most of us were on a maintenance grant as well that covered our living expenses. It was a complete no-brainer back then to go to university because the initial payment was virtually nothing. The only relevant cash flow or cost in those days was the salary that you could have earned if you'd gone to work instead of going to university. But what our accountants' calculation has shown us is that the reality in 2013 is very different. We live in a completely different economic climate. So from a purely financial point of view, it's not worth going to university. Now I say that and I'll repeat it. From a purely financial point of view, it's not worth going to university. There may, of course, be loads of other reasons why it is worth going to university. And you must understand me. I'm in no way at all against school or university education. I was a university lecturer myself, as you may well know. I taught in 2 top UK business schools for almost a decade. And many of my family members and my friends have been or still are in the teaching profession. I've got lots of friends who are still university lecturers. And in fact, 1 or 2 of them have got a bit twitchy recently about what I'm doing. They're thinking I'm trying to discredit them or do them out of a job by discouraging young people from going to university. And, I'm absolutely not doing that at all. That's not what I'm about. However, to be totally frank, one of the most pressing concerns for higher education institutions today is whether they're offering real value for the absolute considerable tuition fees that they're charging. And students and their families are getting increasingly worried about the return on their investment. So, the burden of proof is now falling onto the colleges and universities to demonstrate that they truly prepare students for a successful life and a career after graduation. And I really believe that higher education is at a crucial crossroads today. In my book, I do refer to a number of what I call enlightened educators in the UK. There's a group of colleges called the Gazelle Group of Colleges, which are doing phenomenal things. And they've realised that they need to make entrepreneurialism and entrepreneurship part and parcel of everything that students do in their time at college or university. Now, these colleges are true pioneers, but they're far too few in number. And most school and university teachers care really passionately about their students. I know that. But they have their own jobs to do, and they're totally constrained by the requirements of their role and the bureaucratic system. Only a couple of weeks ago, I had a conversation with a teacher friend of mine where she told me that the whole school's managed around meeting and exceeding targets. She told me that the staff and the students are just so stressed trying to retain the school's good reputation. And as a result, there's just no time to devote to the pupils' real needs. My own stepdaughter, who's a trainee teacher, has told me that she's been advised not to apply for a job at a school which is outstanding because the stress on the teachers and the pupils of keeping that status of outstanding is just too much to bear. And you see, the thing is, so many of us just don't want to hear the truth. We really don't. because it will shake out our false hope that everything is okay. But it's really not okay. And I'll repeat that. It's really not okay. Not if we carry on as if it was still the 1980s. Because education for teenagers must nowadays include much, much more than just the fact-based learning which is designed to pass exams. We've become a culture totally obsessed by targets, and teachers of teenagers are the victims of an overly bureaucratic system. A system designed to measure and assess the schools and teachers to completely within an inch of their lives. They don't have the time or the flexibility to keep adding to the curriculum, all those ever-changing elements which are going to ensure that our teenagers are up to speed and fit for the world of work in modern times. So what I'm saying to you is that traditional school and university education have got to be supplemented by programs to give our teenagers access to personal development, to training in practical finance, and an introduction to ways in which they can be more entrepreneurial, and so that they can contribute more significantly, if you like, to the workplace. In other words, they need to have this if they're going to get the most out of everything else that's available to them educationally, whether they choose to go to university or not. So I've got a few outcomes for the rest of this online session. What I want to do, and I think I've started to do that already, is raise your awareness that there really is a problem. And if it's not addressed, it's going to cause your teenagers at best a load of stress. And at worst, they may be consigned to the job scrap heap. I also want to introduce you to some of the things that you can do about it. And I want to introduce you to my vision of the 3 pillars. And finally, I want to share with you ways in which your teenagers can join me for their educational journey. Because there's only so much that I can tell you in a 90-minute online session, so I do feel it's my duty to let you know that I'll be putting together a special offer for you later on in this call. So, let's carry on. Here are some lovely students. Looks idyllic, right? Well, maybe it is when they're partying or whatever else they get up to at university that you probably don't want to know about. But all that stuff that they're learning and that they're writing down in those brightly coloured folders that these students are holding, what's the point of it? What really is the point of it? And that's not meant to be an esoteric question, but a real one. Do they know why they're studying what they're studying? In other words, what they're going to get out of it. Do they know? Did they have a solid reason for choosing the course that they're on? Did you? I don't think I did. But it really was a different world back then. Far fewer young people went to university, and we were a pretty privileged bunch back then. But now it's so expensive that you really do need to know why you're there and what it's contributing to your development, both career and life development. Everybody needs a reason why. They need to know why they're there, what it's going to be doing for them. But we all need a reason why, don't we, for what we're doing that keeps us motivated and keeps us going. So why do I do what I do? Why do you do what you do? Well, my reason why is about these 3. These 3 little boys. Everybody needs to have a reason why, and it can change and develop over time. It doesn't have to be the same reason why forever. Mine's changed considerably. But it's now about doing a job I love that makes a difference, but also being able to do it and still be there and have time for my 3 boys. Because I had a spell a few years ago where I hardly saw them at all in the week. I was doing a full-time job with a very long commute, and it was a pain. I hardly saw them. I was exhausted when I got in. I put them to bed, and I saw them for half an hour in the morning and then just at weekends. It was ridiculous. And it's even more important to me now because my youngest little boy in the middle, Daniel, he's autistic and he's got learning difficulties. So he really does need me to be there for him. And also, it's about being a role model for my boys and walking my talk, because I intend to use my 3-pillar approach for them, for their own development as they approach their teenage years. And they're not there yet, but it won't be long. And the more that I can instill in them how important this is, the more successful they are likely to be. So that's my reason why. Now, the thing that's going to get teenagers or young people going with their reason why, I believe, is the 3-pillar approach. And the 3-pillar system is the approach that I formulated for my own business, the University Success Campus. The 3 pillars are personal effectiveness, practical finance, and modern entrepreneurship skills. And what this will do for your teenager is give them the courage to decide what they want out of life and the confidence and the skills to go for it. My course is video-based and contains practical advice, training and tools and case studies in very manageable chunks in a learning style suited to young people, to the digital generation. So let's just have a little taste of some of the focus of the training inside the personal effectiveness section of the University Success Campus. You see, what we really need to instill in our teenagers is that if you want to change what you have to change who you are and what you do. As Gandhi very famously said, be the change that you want to see in the world. Because success and happiness isn't necessarily about having things. It's about being able to handle stuff when it comes up. It's about having the right mindset, the confidence, and the experience to cope with all of life's challenges. So success isn't about what you have, but it's about who you are and who you become. It's about your values and your attitude to life. So if our teenagers can start to cultivate a mindset of confidence, to journey through life knowing that they can deal with anything that's thrown at them, then they'll be laying the foundations for an extremely fulfilling life. If they can adopt values and beliefs which serve them well, rather than hold them back, then they can learn to fly, to truly fly. So what I want to go through with you now is a bit of a technique that I outline in my book. It's called Search for the Hero. It's something that you could go through with your teenagers, with your young teens, as well as your slightly older teens, and it uses the NLP technique of modelling. So firstly, get them to identify somebody that they view as a hero. Who do they admire? Who does your teenager admire? Who are they in awe of? Who do they feel would be best suited to deal with a situation that your teenager, is struggling with right now? Or someone whose achievements they aspire to or want to emulate. And this person can be someone they know, or it could be someone from history, or even a fictional character. Okay, so the next thing that they need to do is to identify their hero's qualities. So what you could do to them is ask what specific qualities their hero has, or what specific qualities your teenager admires in that hero. And what you're looking for, I guess, is responses like, oh, he's tough and brave, or he's a hero, or she doesn't let little things get to her, or she just gets on with it, or he makes loads of money and still cares about his employees' happiness and the environment, or she's quirky, and confident and really true to herself. Do you get that idea? They're looking at qualities that they admire in that hero. Next, I want you to get them to close their eyes and in their mind's eye watch, as if it were on a video, watch their hero dealing with a situation that matters to your teenager. Watch them dealing with the situation and bringing all those qualities to bear on that situation. Next, ask your teenager to imagine being that person and going into the formerly difficult situation that they were experiencing or that they found hard, and they're going into that situation as their hero to experience what it's like to have full access to all those heroic qualities. And get them to tell you in detail what that feels like. And that's the important bit there. What does it feel like to take on those heroes' qualities, to deal with a tricky situation as their hero? And finally, what you can do is let them know that they can actually tap into those qualities anytime they like, because those qualities can become part of who your teenager really is, who they uniquely are. If you like, they're borrowing attributes, they're borrowing qualities from their hero or from extraordinary people. But ultimately, real heroism is about becoming the person you wish to be. And that can be found just within seemingly ordinary, everyday people, not necessarily heroes. Okay, another really vital ingredient that teenagers need to know about or to do to, if you like, become content or happy with their lot is to do what they really love. Because that's one of the best pieces of advice that I can give you regarding your teenager, is to encourage them to do what they like doing best. Because staying motivated with your work all of the time, or even some of the time, is practically impossible. Imagine what it's like when you're at work. Are you engaged or motivated with it all the time? I suspect not. If you are, that's fantastic. And congratulations, because you're in the job that's right for you. But, for most of us, it's practically impossible. And that's because even if you're really fired up, motivation wears off. It's been said it's like a shower. You can't stay clean forever from just one shower or bath. You need to keep washing yourself every day to stay clean. And similarly, you'll need to keep revving yourself up every day if you want to stay motivated. Now, don't get me wrong, it is possible, but it's challenging for anybody. But when you do what you love to do, you're internally motivated. You don't need to pump yourself up. You don't need to get others to motivate you because you're already automatically doing it. If you don't do what you love, you'll probably procrastinate and you'll find excuses not to do it. Again, I think we've all been there, haven't we? And the other thing about doing what you love or finding where your passion lies is that it builds great self-esteem. See, it's all too easy, isn't it, to force our own desires onto our children. Have you or do you know someone who's got great ambitions for their children? Maybe your parents forced their ambition onto you. And this is a bit of a sad story, but I'm going to tell it anyway. A few years ago, I had a really good friend of mine whose sister was a teacher. And her parents were really proud of her because the mother had always dreamed of being a teacher. And my friend's teacher went through all her training, really enjoyed it, was fired up. She got a job at an inner city London school, and the kids there made her life a complete misery. So much so that she committed suicide. And, that's just so sad. So, so sad. And I've got other friends who are doctors and lawyers, and they feel they were literally pushed into those professions by their well-meaning parents. Yet, they don't really enjoy their work. And yet they're doing something which everybody holds as one of the best professions, doctors and lawyers. But these people, although they're highly qualified and they're earning a lot of money, they've got great ambitions elsewhere, but they feel completely trapped. Because they're in a good job with a high status, but they're trapped and they don't want to be doing it. Now, I think I said earlier, I'm a qualified chartered accountant, but working as one has never, ever fulfilled me, whereas teaching did. Now, finding the thing that your teenagers love could need, a lot of conversation with your teenagers, a lot of soul searching, and maybe even some difficult or awkward conversations. Now, I'm not saying it's easy, and you may well have to leave them to work it out for themselves for a while. Perhaps depending on your own family dynamic, you might want to do the following as a game or a family chat. Get your teens to be really creative and ask them one of the following questions. If you absolutely knew that you couldn't fail, what would you do? If you knew you couldn't fail, what would you do? Or an alternative one is, if you woke up one morning and everything in your world was perfect for you, how would that look? How would it make you feel? Because it really is important, it's vitally important that they discover what it is that they really love doing, the thing that gives them a buzz, the thing that makes them want to work for 10 hours a day or more. Because much better that than working 10 hours a day on something that you hate. Believe me, millions of people do that every day, day in, day out for years. You've only got a limited lifespan, so make sure you spend it doing stuff you enjoy. Let's have a think about the second pillar of the University Success Campus, and that's all around money. Are your teenagers money savvy? My guess is probably not, because it's not currently part of the school curriculum in the UK. But practical finance means understanding money. It means being comfortable with it. It means knowing how to make money, how to spend money. Well, most of us don't have a problem with that bit, but it also means knowing how to use money to make more money. In a nutshell, it means being comfortable with finance and giving it the importance it deserves. And then the final of the three pillars is modern entrepreneurship. And for me, modern entrepreneurship is about running your own low-risk micro business without any massive financial outlay. And, we can harness the power of all the technology that's around us to do that. And it's pretty easy for teenagers to do. Oh, for goodness sake, it's easy for us oldies to do as well. But the risks for the teenagers are much, much lower because they've got fewer commitments, they've a lot less baggage, both emotional and financial, and they've grown up with the technology. And all they need is someone to point them in the right direction in order for them to fly. What they need is access to some of the 21st century's best kept business secrets and a few strategies that modern entrepreneurs know. What the University Success Campus has got is case studies of young entrepreneurs telling us how they did it and how they're still doing it. Now, you could spend hours searching on the internet looking for the right trainers or the right gurus to teach your children how to become entrepreneurial. And believe me, there's some brilliant stuff out there. And yeah, there's some dreadful stuff too. You could spend a lot of time and money going down completely blind alleys. And also a lot of the training stuff that is available really presupposes a lot of knowledge. A knowledge of business, a knowledge of money, and a knowledge of the niche that you want to work in. Now, in my experience, most teenagers aren't yet at that stage. They're not ready to get into the detail of setting up and running a business. And that's the whole rationale for the 3-pillar approach. The University Success Campus programme has Pillar 1, which is the personal effectiveness, where the student works on themselves. Pillar 2, as we've said, teaches them about finance and business terminology. And only then are they ready for an introduction to the mind-blowing world of entrepreneurship in Pillar 3. And that's why I created the University Success Campus. Because the University Success Campus is all about inspiring future entrepreneurs. And that means equipping teenagers with the skills and the entrepreneurial mindset that they need to be successful in the 21st century, whether they choose to go to university or not, whether they choose to set up their own business or not. What the University Success Campus does is it plugs the skills gap that the schools can't currently fill. What our teenagers need to know are the new rules of the economic game, because just going to university and getting a good degree is no longer a passport to a great job. They need to work on themselves, and they need to become something much more than the average young person. They need to become effective communicators. They need to be confident decision makers, efficient multitaskers, people with vision. They need to get to grips with finance, and they need to learn a whole range of modern entrepreneurial skills. Now, my University Success Campus is opening its doors on the 4th of March, and it's for parents and teachers who want to make a real difference to the lives of their teenagers. The core of this programme is video training in bite-sized chunks. The videos are on average 10 to 15 minutes long, and students can interact with me and post questions and comments underneath any of the videos. Now, some of these videos are going to have a profound effect on the student, and they need to know that they can come back to this training whenever they want. That's why they get lifetime access to it. There'll be downloadable PDFs summarising all the training and giving them exercises to do and challenges. And all of the students will have access to a forum where they can interact with each other and pose questions to me or to each other. There'll also be live webcasts from time to time dealing with lots of common questions that students have. And finally, there'll be the University Success Campus Live, which will be a day-long, life-enhancing seminar event to which all the members of the University Success Campus are invited for free. And hey, parents, you can even come along to that if you want, to the University Success Campus Live, as long as you promise that you'll sit in a different part of the room from your teenagers. So, to summarise, the University Success Campus includes video training in bite-sized chunks in all of the 3 pillars, plus worksheets with all the exercises. There's also case studies, which are interviews with young entrepreneurs who tell their own story of how and why they did it. Then there's an interactive forum in which the students can ask questions and network with like-minded young people, so a great peer group for them. Then there's live teleclasses and webinars where the students can interact with me. And finally, the University Success Campus Live, which is a day-long, life-changing seminar with inspirational youth speakers. So, what the University Success Campus will do for your teenager is give them the courage to decide what they want out of life and give them the confidence and the skills to go for it. Does that sound of interest? Great. Well, I'm going to invite you to consider enrolling your teenager into the University Success Campus. The campus is targeted generally at 16 to 18-year-olds, but an intelligent 14-year-old would also benefit from it, and it would work just as well for young people already at university. And yes, you can relax because the money that you would spend on the University Success Campus is just a fraction of what you've already spent on sports coaching, music lessons, private exam tuition, and whatever other activities your own teenagers do. Yet the payback for the University Success Campus will be massively more. At what price your teenager's successful future? Because you can no longer pat yourself on the back and think you've done your bit by giving your kids the opportunity to try out sports or music or art, or even think you've made the ultimate sacrifice by paying for the university education and then just dropping them at the campus gates before you return home, thinking that you've done your best for them. Because there are now many, many more pieces to the jigsaw of modern success. So, let me cut to the chase. The full price for the University Success Campus is £997. That's around $1,500 US. However, I do have an offer for you tonight, and what you'll get is going to be divided into stuff for them, for the teenagers, and stuff for you. So here's what it includes. The bits for them. They get the University Success Campus lifetime membership with access to training on all areas of personal effectiveness, practical finance, and modern entrepreneurship, plus the interactive forum and the University Success Campus Live. They also get my report for students, which is called Enhance Your Learning Beyond All Recognition. That's a report which gives them loads of accelerated learning techniques and tips for helping them with their study. Because let's face it, they still have to go through the study, at the very least until they're 18. So, that's something that they have to learn how to deal with in the best way they possibly can. So enhance your learning beyond all recognition. And the third thing that they get is the best-selling music track for students called Ocean Focus Motivation. And that's a track that I produced back in 2006, which has been a bestseller since then. It's a specially engineered piece of music for listening to whilst you're working. And that's either working on written work or at the computer. And what it is, it's the soothing sound of ocean waves, so gentle music with a special tone called a binaural tone, which places you in a brainwave pattern called the alpha brainwave pattern. And that's a pattern of relaxed, alert attention, which is often associated by scientists with super learning and positivity. And what then happens is that any kind of focus work that you're doing, whether it's reading or study, it'll go in faster and more easily whilst you're listening to this music track. And in addition, on this music track, there's a mixed in barely audible affirmations which encourage the listener to be motivated to do tasks that they might otherwise have put off. Things like writing an essay, or reading some chapters from a textbook, or making revision notes. So the student then gets motivated to do things, to do work, which in the past they would have done anything to avoid. Okay, so that's all the stuff that the student gets. And then, as I said, our offer tonight is divided into stuff for them and stuff for you. So what do you get? You get 3 free training videos from inside the University Success Campus. And that's so that you can get a taste for some of the videos that your teenagers will be watching once they get inside the campus. That's just in case they decide they don't want to share it with you. And these videos are on 3 areas. The first one is called How to Get What You Really Want. The second is about decision making, how to make good decisions, and it uses the example of why should I go to university? And the final video is first steps to understanding finance. Now, I suggest that once they join the campus that you have a look at some of the videos anyway, because, this stuff works for adults too. But if they don't want to share, then at least you get this, this free taster. The second thing I've got for you is a personally signed copy of my book, The Book on Successful Teens, because this book is aimed at parents. This is for the parents to read, not for the teenagers to read. This gives you information in much more detail than we can go through tonight on what's important and what you can do to help your teenagers. And in case you're interested to know about some more of the issues discussed in this training tonight, what I'll do is I'll throw in my 2 reports called University is a Rip-Off and The Parents SOS. Okay, so that's a whole load of stuff for them and a whole load of stuff for you. Now, the total cost of all of this package, if I were to sell it all in separate bits, is just short of £1,200. And over the next couple of months, because I'm just launching the University Success Campus at the moment, over the next couple of months, what I'll do is I'll discount the cost of the University Success Campus down to £797, because I really want to encourage massive take-up of it, because I do think that this type of training is so important to our teenagers. So over the next few months, I'll discount to £797. However, for being on the call tonight, what I'm going to do is make a very special offer. The price for the whole package, so the University Success Campus and all those extra freebies, if you decide to go ahead tonight, is £399. What I'm doing is I'm giving you 60% off the full price of lifetime membership to the University Success Campus, and I'm throwing in all of those extra goodies for your teenagers and for you. I'm doing that for a few reasons. Firstly, I do want to make it available to as many teenagers as possible by offering this fantastic introductory price. And secondly, it's exactly 7 years this very week, since I launched my first online business. So I'm sort of in the mood to celebrate. And thirdly, it's my birthday next week. So, even more reason to celebrate. So the price for all this is £399. Now remember, the normal sales price, if we sold all these bits individually, is £1,200. And the total value, well, I don't know, whatever price you put on your teenager's successful future. So if you want your teenagers to join us when we open the doors of the University Success Campus on Monday, the 4th of March, do grab this introductory price while you can. What I'll do is I'll leave the introductory offer up for the next 24 hours only. If you want your teenager to join us when we open the doors of the University Success Campus on Monday, the 4th of March, do grab this introductory offer while you can. What I'm just about to do is pop the link in the question box. So just bear with me whilst we get the link into the question box. The link is on the screen right now. So if you wanted to copy that and paste it into your browser, do so. We'll also make sure that that goes into the question box. Okay, whilst I'm dealing with my sort of little technical issues here, I know I've got a number of questions that were asked of me by you, all of you, before you join the call tonight. So a number of these, and I think we've probably dealt with a few of them as we've been going through. But one person said they're worried about the lack of interest by her son in anything other than playing computer games. And she said it's just hard to help him with anything. So what do I do? Well, do you know, is that what he really loves, to play in the computer games? Is it what he loves? It may well be. It may well be that there's something he can do, that he's learning the skills whilst he's playing those computer games. It may well be that he can utilize all those skills with something that earns him money. Now, on the University Success Campus, I've got a whole load of information about how teenagers can sell their skills for money, for real money. And you will be amazed at the types of things that teenagers are selling for money, and skills on the computer, programming skills, or just silly stuff, crazy stuff. I refer to a lot of it in my book. So just believe me that these sort of skills are very useful. Right, we sorted out the technical issue. I have got the link in the chat box now. If you're interested in ordering tonight and getting the deal at $3.99 with all the freebies, then please click. You can either copy from the screen or click in the chat box. Click straight through, and you can take advantage of that offer this evening. Okay, more questions, and please, if you want to ask some more questions in the question box, then please feel free to pop those on for me now. Okay, Michelle has asked, she said, my top concern is that in an ever-changing world with finite resources and unemployment in Europe running, she said, at 12%, actually it's much more than 12%, how can I make sure that my children take enough interest in life and school to have a future? Well, I think we probably dealt with that in saying, well, look at what they love. Make sure that they're doing what they love, because school isn't going to be enough to do this. What they need also is to learn all the other life skills, all the personal effectiveness skills, like the confidence, the decision making, the time management, the super communication skills, all of those things, and financial skills, all of those things that school doesn't teach them. They need those as well as doing what they love. Okay, I've still got that link on the question box at the side. What you will need to do is to, if you're clicking through, to use a promotion code, special promotion code, because if you click through, you'll find an order form that tells you that the University Success Campus costs £997. If you put in the promotion code 7 years, and that's 7 years, that's the numeral 7, number 7, space, years, 7, space, years, because it's 7 years exactly to this week since I've been in business with my online businesses. Pop in the promotional code 7 years, and you'll see that magically the price will come down to $3.99. Okay. So, another question I've had is that my son has no idea what he wants to do in his life. Well, did you know what you wanted to do when you were a teenager? Did you really? I didn't. But nowadays, it's not really about knowing what you want to do, because there's plenty of evidence that you have to reinvent yourself every couple of years. You have to keep reskilling and reskilling. So now, it's not about knowing what you want to do. It's about having marketable skills and continually developing and upgrading those marketable skills. Somebody else has asked me, will they actually be able to get a job? And, I can't give you a cast iron answer to that. They might, but then again, they might not. So what they need to be, as we said earlier, is to be proactive and to develop all of those marketable skills. Okay, so technically we've still got the information there on the screen for you. If you wanted to click through onto that link and enter the promotion code, the special promotion code, 7 years, and it'll automatically reduce the cost price of the University Success Campus down from £997 to $3.99. What I will do is I will keep this promotion code and this special offer open until midnight tomorrow night. So if you need to go away and think about it tonight, that's absolutely fine, but I will keep that open until midnight tomorrow. And do drop me an email if you've got any questions. If you have any questions, or if you want to ask me some questions now in the question box, that's absolutely fine, but drop me an email. The email address is Liz, that's L-I-S, at University, that's Y-O-U, University, successcampus.com. So Liz with an S at the universitysuccesscampus.com. Please, if you have any questions about that, do give me a call, but I will leave this special offer open until midnight tomorrow night. So another question that I had prior to this session is I'm really concerned about whether my son's going to make the right choices. That's an interesting question, isn't it? The right choices, but the right choices for what? Because that's sort of putting the cart before the horse. What they need to start thinking about is what they want. And in the University Success Campus, we've got a whole load of training exercises to get them thinking about what they want. And once they've worked out what they want, then, and you know, they've got some sort of goal in mind, even if that develops and changes over time, then it's going to be much easier to make the right decision. Another question that I've had is somebody who's really concerned about the availability of opportunities for their kids at school to gain relevant and meaningful work experience. Now, that depends on very much on the student and their school, but do you know something? In my experience, many schools who offer work experience offer deeply, deeply uninspiring work experience. You know, it's often desperately boring stuff. The poor 14, 15-year-old will go to an office and they'll do filing of the most boring kind, or they'll just be wandering around and they're not meeting decision makers. They're not being inspired when they're in that work environment. And it's interesting because I've got a very good friend of mine, a lady called Kat, and she's an entrepreneur, and she has a daughter who I believe is about 14, although I may be slightly wrong on that. But her daughter was going for work experience, and what Kat wanted to do is let her daughter spend a week with her in her own business, and the headmaster vetoed it. He told Kat in no uncertain terms that this was not proper work, and that the daughter was going to have to go into one of the school's work experience placements instead. As you can imagine, my friend Kat was deeply upset about that, and it's just crazy. It's absolutely crazy that entrepreneurialism or self-employment is not deemed to be proper work experience. I don't quite get that myself, but anyway. Right, so we've got my my email address on the screen now, so please do drop me an email if there's anything you want to know about what we've talked about this evening. If you've got questions about the University Success Campus, or you just want a general chat about how things are for teenagers and what you can do to help and what we can do together to help them, then please do just drop me an email. There's some other questions that people have asked. I think Carolyn, yes, Carolyn, you're on the call. You've talked about not gaining A to C in maths GCSE and therefore having limited options. Well, I know we've talked before, haven't we, about that, and it's something maths is something you're concerned about. Quite honestly, Carolyn, I don't think it's the be all and end all nowadays. It might have been 10, 20 years ago. It probably was when you graduated, when you were applying for university, or when I was, but nowadays it doesn't really matter, because your son's going to find what he's good at, and if it's not maths, it's not maths. Why should you force him to be good at maths if it's not his thing? He's got plenty of other skills, and what he needs to do, and you need to help him do, is tap into what he's good at and what he loves. And if we can meld those two together and look at developing that as something he might want to do as a profession or to make money out of, then fantastic. So don't get too hung up on, he's not good at maths, or she's not too good at English, or they're rubbish at French, or they don't get science. That really isn't the issue nowadays. Had some other questions about resources for teenagers. Do you provide resources for teenagers to get the ball rolling? Well, I think we've probably covered that. Yes, the University Success Campus does provide lots of resources and lots of training to get the ball rolling for teenagers. Yeah, a number of other people just made some comments actually in the question box about it being really important to get for us as parents to have the courage to make the right choices for our teenagers. Even if it means standing out from the crowd. And quite honestly, I think standing out from the crowd is good because nowadays it's risky to be the same. Being different is good, gets you noticed. Gets people to either want to employ you or to want to do business with you. And the other thing that this particular person talked about was having self-belief. And I think that's one of the key things, traits, if you like, that we can, or gifts that we can give our teenagers, having self-belief in what they do. Now, I think that's dealt with most of the questions that I've had in so far, but if there is anything else, do feel free either to pop it in the chat box now or to email me on that address that's on your screens at the moment. And quite honestly, I can't wait to welcome your teenagers into the University Success Campus. And it will be kicking off on the 4th of March. Over a period of 6 weeks, there's going to be loads of introductory trainings in each of the 3 pillars. So that's over a whole 6-week period. Now, it doesn't matter whether they complete that introductory course over those 6 weeks or if they choose to do it over a longer period, because that's only the intro. And they can take their time because they have lifetime access to the University Success Campus. And these videos are always going to be available for them to come back and review them, go over them again and learn. But we'll be adding to the University Success Campus all the time. So it's not just about the intro videos, it's about developing their skill set in all of the 3 pillars as they go along. But being an early adopter in the University Success Campus even means that your teenagers are getting into the campus at this introductory low price of $399, and then they benefit from lifetime access. So let's take a deep breath and see if you want to go for it. Now, I've talked about all the sort of actual things, the physical things that your teenagers and you will get if you join the University Success Campus, but there are a lot of intangible things too. Because in a nutshell, what the University Success Campus will do for your teenagers is give them the courage to decide what they want out of life and then give them the confidence and the skills to go for it. And the benefits for you as parents are peace of mind that your teenagers are gaining the skills in personal effectiveness and things like great communication skills, confidence, sound decision making, how to face fears, time management and overcoming procrastination, all those personal effectiveness skills. And then they're learning smart money management skills. They're getting an introduction to entrepreneurship, along with a whole host of tools and ideas on how to earn money now, even as a teenager, or whilst they're still at school or university, so that they don't need to be up to their eyes in debt by the time they're in their 20s. What you're also getting is assurance that your teenagers will gain access to the University Success Campus with young role models who are telling how they did it. So they're young role models, young entrepreneurs who are already successful in today's economy. And they're gaining access to these people rather than just constantly hearing horror stories of debt-ridden, unemployed graduates. What you're also getting is comfort that you are giving your teams a great opportunity to find out how they can operate in our modern world, in the modern world of work, in the safe hands of an experienced university lecturer, coach, and finance professional. And finally, you're getting knowledge that this program, the University Success Campus program, is giving your teenager a great opportunity to find out how they will operate in the modern world of work, and giving them the opportunity to network with like-minded young people and to choose a really supportive peer group and then get them to step up and be all that they can be. So, really, in the sort of final analysis of all this, the real issue isn't about whether your teenagers go to university or get a job. It's not about an either or, really. It's about you and me empowering them to make conscious choices based on the world as it is now. The world as it is now, not as it was 30 or more years ago. It's about entering university or the job market equipped with skills and knowledge and the self-reliance to engage with and meet the challenges of the 21st century. And a lot of this really has to do with our teenagers' ability to create a life and wealth for themselves. So it's not about you giving them a financial handout. You might choose to, but it's not about you giving them that money or a metaphorical loaf of bread or a fish. It's about you and me teaching them how to create their own wealth, how to bake their own bread, and how to fish from an ocean of abundance. In other words, what we're doing is teaching them how to recession-proof their future as much as they possibly can. Because in today's fast-paced world, the right type of education, either in college or in the workplace or both, is essential. It's not about facts-based information anymore. Instead, it's all about those life skills, all those life skills that are still, even now, not part of the school or university curriculum. And it's about teens finding the passion to go and do what they love. Because if they do what they love, then they'll be happy. And do you know something? Happiness is perhaps what all of us really want more than anything else for our children. I'm sure you agree. Well, do you know, I've really loved doing this online training class for you. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. And thank you so much for joining me. I do hope you enjoyed it. I do hope it's caused you to think a bit more deeply and widely about your teenager's future. I'd be interested in knowing which bits you like best, which bits you value the most, and what you're going to try and do now. Drop me a line on the email address if you want to discuss it further, or pop your question in the chat box on the right. And you know what? I'd also be ever so grateful if you'd pop a quick post about this onto your Facebook timeline. And would you tag me? If you're on Facebook, that will be fantastic. You could tag me and then share it with other people, because in that way, we can ensure that other people who can also benefit from the University Success Campus. Because in the end of it all, this webinar, this online training isn't about me telling you about the part I'm playing in getting relevant training to our youth. It's also about raising your awareness that there is a huge problem and that we all need to be part of the solution for the sake of our own children and for the future of all of our economies. Because we really can be part of the solution to ensure that our children, our teenagers, get a great future rather than a grim future. So please, will you join me in raising a toast to the inevitable success of your teenagers? Thanks so much for staying with me. And until we speak next time, encourage your teenagers to aim high, be all that they can be, and keep on climbing. Bye for now.